Robert, what's your duty out here?
Well, I'm with Scout Snipers here in 327, and our main mission is we go out on sort of reconnaissance. We go out and we scout the area out. We try to locate the enemy positions, and then we call in fire missions for artillery here. And that's about our primary mission.
It's pretty hairy, doesn't it, out there?
Well, yes, sir, it does. Sometime we go out sometime squad at a time, and it's pretty lonely out there when there's about 6, 8 men out there.
You were in this last mission, weren't you? Could you tell us a little bit about it, please?
Yes, so this was Operation Allenbrook. We was out there, and well, our biggest mission, well, we tried to pinpoint the enemy positions, bunkers, but the line companies, that's India Company, the Infantry, they went in, they tried to take a tree line, and India Company was the first company there. They went in and they pretty well got wiped out, and my company tried to go in to help them, and I lost a good buddy. He was formerly from Rockdale, is Captain Anderson, and Captain Ralph. Captain Ralph, his uncle is a preacher at a Methodist church in my hometown. It shook me up pretty great deals to lose him, but that's just the breaks over here. And
Yet with all of this, your morale stays real high. How do you explain it?
well, it's just, I guess you just have to get used to it. See a guy, you lose a buddy or something, it's just one of these things you can't just give up, you know, you gotta go on. I mean, sometimes it shakes you up a lot, but you just gotta take it. I
You
mean,
think it's all worth it? You think the progress we're making, or do you think we're making progress?
well, it's hard to say. I think we are, but it's, I don't really know. It's just one of those things, you can't tell.
You just got a job to do, and you're determined to do it, is that right?
Yes, sir. You just have to do the best of your ability, I guess. We try to do our job, but sometimes it's pretty hard to do.
Well, often a lot of people back there are proud of you, and we thank you for the job you're doing.
Well, I'm just glad I can do my job. That's about all.
Thank you.
I'd like to tell everybody at home hello, and I'll see them one of these days.
I think you have a pretty dangerous job.
Yes, sir. Everybody over here in Vietnam has a dangerous job as far as that goes. And
What is yours?
well, I act as a forward observer for the gun team I'm with 60 Mortars, and also help carry part of the gun when we go out into the bush.
I understand you just got back and you've had some recent experiences. Could you tell us about it?
Well, yes, sir. The group I was attached with this morning, we just came back in from the bush, and last night we were approximately 600 to 800 meters away from a rocket site, Viet Cong rocket site, and they were firing. We were fortunate enough to get our gun on them, and by the time we got our gun on, we went into action, and then artillery come in to, of course, back us up. Heavier guns is always better. Fire superiority over here is the main thing to look for.
You think you got them, or at least you saw them move out, but there was a lot of artillery in the area, I understand.
Yes, sir. There was an extremely heavy barrage of artillery after our gun team. We set back. We didn't fire any more. Gun team, more or less, to slow them down until the big guns can get there. But I would say if they didn't get them, they really ran them out of the country.
I think you have some loved ones back in Dallas. Would you like to say anything personal?
Yes, I'd like to say hello to my mom, my dad, all my brothers and sisters, and my girl, all the folks back home, all mom.
Adams, we talk a lot about battles and so on and so forth, but sometimes we neglect to look at the fact that some of these guys have to get a belly full to keep going.
Oh, that's very true. We try to do our best here, but we cook.
What do you do?
I cook. I work in the mess hall right here and prepare the food for the troops that are out in the field. And we don't get much recognition, but I think we do a real good job. And
I've been told that this is the best fed Army America's ever had.
well, I don't know about the Army, sir, but the Marine Corps is pretty good.
Well, the best fed service that America's ever had, I guess would be a better way to put it. Yeah, we were told that some of them get milk, ice cream, sea rations, of course, etc.
Yes, we do. We're very fortunate. We have milk, ice cream, just about every day here, and it's a real treat. Believe me, it's really a treat.
And yet you don't just stay behind that stove all the time. In fact, you've been out on a mission recently, haven't you?
Yes, I participated in Operation Allenbrook as the Cook's machine gun team. We just provided security for the CP group and assisted the casualties we had and unloaded the choppers as they come in.
So it's not all working over a stove all day.
No, it isn't, no.
Things stay hot about everywhere, though, don't they?
They sure do. They keep right on going.
You got some loved ones back in Fort Worth. Would you like to say anything to them?
Yes, I just hope that my father sees this, and I just like to say hi to him and all my family. And my mother just recently moved in. I'd like to say hello to her, too.
I'd like to say, too, that about 10,000 people sent letters saying to come out here and tell you guys what a great job you're doing. And maybe you'd like to say something to them.
Well, I'd just like to say that I appreciate it, and I believe we all do, because we're just trying to do our best here, that's all.
Sergeant Agamalian, you've been over here on 2 tours. Could you tell us of some of your experiences?
I was with the 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines the first time I was over here, Mr. Goodwin. I was with them for about 7 months, and then my last 6 months I'd been picked to be a personal bodyguard for Lieutenant General Walt, who was the honcho of the Marines in Vietnam at that time. I went back to the States in May, and then in February of this year when the 27th Marines came back to Vietnam, I volunteered to come back with them. And since that time I've been serving as a squad leader in a machine gun.
How did it feel to be personal bodyguard to General Walt?
Oh, well, it was different from being in the bush, that's for sure.
You've had an experience since you've been in the bush. Could you relay that to us?
Well, you're referring to Operation Allenbrook?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. On Operation Allenbrook, the 1st and 2nd platoons of our company had been pinned down from a tree line by NVA positions. Mike Company had moved up on our left, Kilo Company was on the right, and during that time they were trying to pull us out, help us pull back. Mike Company was on our left, they were pinned down at the same time, and myself and another sergeant, Sergeant Holzauer, who was a machine guns here, we had a machine gun each. We moved to our left flank, and we had to give Mike Company overhead fire from our position so they could pull their wounded back.
And you got pretty close, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Our CO was coordinating with the Mike Company commander on the phone at the time. Our first volume, they told us that we're about 8 inches above their heads with the fire.
That's a lot more comfortable up here in this so-called office now than out there in the bush, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it sure is.
Could you say hello to your family back there? Girlfriend or whatever else you'd like to say personally? Just take your time and say it to them now.
Yes, I'd like to say hello to Mr. and Mrs. Robert L. Way, my parents in Arlington, Texas, my brother Robert, David, Douglas, and my sister Rebecca, and I'd like to say a special hello to my fiancée, Miss Faye Snow.
You gonna be seeing her pretty soon?
I hope so, sir.
Missing her a little bit?
Sure am.
Anything else you want to say to her?
I'd just like to say that I hope I'm home in July. That's the word we have so far, that we'll be returning in July. I still haven't received my school cut as yet, but it looks like I'll be out in September. I'll be home in September.
Good luck to you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Olin, you're a truck driver. What have you been doing lately?
I've been making convoys to Quezon, and we've been more or less moving the troops and the equipment out of Quezon, and been moving them from Quezon to Stud, LZ Stud, and well, just more or less evacuating them out of Quezon there.
You've been taking them out of other places too, haven't you?
Well, we've been moving troops from different locations to up in Quezon, Carroll, Cantien, and Phu Bai, making rough ridings from here in Dong Ha back to Phu Bai.
How about the guys you've been taking out of Quezon? They feel pretty badly about moving out, or feel pretty good about it?
Oh yeah, I don't know really. It's more or less it's kind of hard to say. Some of them want to go and some of them don't. Their morale's pretty high as far as morale goes.
What about your own feelings about the guys?
I don't know. It's bad. Been a lot of them, hurt and everything like that. A lot of them lost lives. And a few of my buddies I was TAD with up there back in January and February. With the 26th Marines up there. And that's when they got these 1,300 and something rounds up there. And
It hurts, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
You looking forward to going home?
You bet your boots. Gotta go.
Want to get out of this place?
Well, as soon as my time's up, I'll go.
But you're doing the job in the meantime.
Sir?
But you're doing the job in the meantime.
Yes, I'll do my job the best I can.
It's good talking to you, soldier. Good luck.
Yes, sir.
I should say Marine, I guess.
No, don't say that.
Okay. Lewis, what do you do out here in this place called Dong Ha?
Right now I'm with a headquarters battalion, 12th Marines. We're in I'm in radio, working in FDC. It's fire directional, and every once in a while we go on convoys to make sure they arrive there safely. We call in fire missions if they need anything, and more or less we're just taking care of the fires that the other battalions call in. We're just from headquarters, and not too much field work, but we do get out quite a bit in the convoys.
You take quite a few rounds in here anyway, don't you, every now and then?
We haven't been taking hardly any lately, because I don't know, it seems like they've slowed up some. That's thank goodness.
Yeah. Keep your fingers crossed.
For the time being, anyway. It's going to be a long summer.
Well, part of this summer is going to be spent somewhere else for you, isn't it?
Well, I hope in about 2 weeks to be going to Hawaii, meet my wife there in R&R. I've been here about 8 or 9 months and hope to pull about 7 days R&R over there.
Whee!
Yes.
Want to say anything to the folks?
Well, there's nothing really to say except if they do see this print, I should be home sometime in December, hopefully. Everything's okay here. There's no problems yet, so don't worry.
You've been here a long time, haven't you, Linda?
Yes, I have. I've been here for about 33 months. I came over in October of 1965.
You looking forward to a lot more time here?
No, I'll be going home the first part of August. It's about a month and a half.
Happy to hear that. Happy to know that.
Yes, I am, and I'm sure my sister and my mom and dad and all the people back home are too.
Tell some of the people what you've been through during this long 33 months in Vietnam.
When I first came over, I've always been attached to the 12th Marines. When I first came over, I was a PFC, and my first 14 months in the field, or I was almost entirely in the field, I was a radio operator for a forward observer for artillery, and then later I became a forward observer for artillery. And I've been home on leave 3 times, but each time I came back, I would always be in a different area. I've worked in the Da Nang area for the first 12 months I was here, and then in the Dong Ha area for the rest of that time.
You know, you've been pretty busy. You get pretty hairy sometimes taking care of all this artillery?
Sometimes it does get a bit hairy, but all in all, I believe it's worth it.
You feel then that you are really accomplishing something over here, although it may be slow?
I believe that I'm doing my part, and I wish some of the other people back home would realize it and appreciate our situation and do their part also.
Corporal Weaver, a lot of our guys have gotten shot up over here, and some of them have a Purple Heart. I understand you have 2 of them.
We were engaging in heavy enemy contact. We didn't get out too quick. It took them 12 hours to take us out of the field. Take the wounded men out of the field, lost quite a few men, but we killed quite a few enemy too.
Look right down the lens right there and tell me about the second one, if you will.
The second one, just a little scratch. We were having incoming up at A3 and diving for a hole. I kind of just got nicked in the leg. It's not a very good one. For a heart, though. They give them away pretty easy over here now.
Yeah, that's what everybody that has them says, but the guys who don't have them don't seem to want to get one.
Yes, sir. There's not too much comfort coming along with a Purple Heart. It kind of bit of pain. There's quite a bit of pain with it.
Your wife's just about 10 feet away. Would you like to say anything personal to her?
Well, I have 92 days, and I'll be home, honey. And take care of yourself, and I'll see you in Dallas, and pretty quick.
Rusty, you extended. How come?
Yes, I did. Well, I extended because I'll be getting out of the Marine Corps June '69, and that was only one purpose I did it before. I don't want to go back to the States and fool around back. I just better get it done. I like it over here pretty well.
How about the weather? Does this bother you too much, being from Texas?
In a way it does, because at least you get to swim back home, you don't get to swim or nothing here to cool down except take a shower about 3 or 4 times a day. And but it's hot here. It gets up about 125, 30 degrees, sun up, sun down. So the weather, it's pretty good weather out here.
It's murder right now. There's a slight breeze, otherwise it just tears you to shreds. Nothing like you hope White Rock will be when you get back, is it?
Oh, I hope it's a little bit on the cool side, a little bit anyway. There is an all-time breeze here. It starts about 9 o'clock in the morning. There's a breeze all that night. And, but it's pretty warm here. It gets a little cool at night. It's about 95 at night.
Good luck to you in your service over here, and good luck to you in the extension.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, Corporal, you've been involved in the caisson push and now the evacuation too, haven't you?
Yes, sir, sure have.
Could you tell us in what way?
Well, I was a heavy equipment operator. We opened the road up there, the one they're going to use to evacuate it right now.
What else do you have to do as a heavy equipment operator? A lot of us just picked you up on top of a heavy piece of equipment, but I think there are other things over here, aren't there?
Well, if there's an outpost fixing to go in, we go out and we build it. We get, sometimes we support the grunts, sometimes grunts support us. It just works hand in hand. And well, about all we do over here, we build roads, open up outposts for them, and clear the way.
There's a term over here that you guys have that a lot of people at home may not understand. It just occurred to me. What is a grunt?
That's the infantryman.
Okay, well, let's straighten that out right now for once and for all. I think you have a relative back in the Dallas area that you might like to say something to. Go ahead now if you will.
I'd just like to say hi to my Uncle Richard back there. That's about it.
You feeling pretty good and everything?
Yeah, I'm feeling all right myself.
How about the duty here?
No, I don't know. It's all right. I like it myself.
You gonna continue on? How many more months do you have and so on?
Well, I've been over here 8. I'll get out about the last part of December. I plan on extending for 6 months.
Man, how come everyone extends? I've never seen so many extensions.
It's kind of hard to figure in a way. It's worth it. As long as people back you up and you know what you're doing, it's all right.
Bill, you're kind of a newcomer, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Been here about a week.
How do you find duty over here as compared to duty in the States?
Well, we're a lot looser over here in some senses. Some we're not. We've got a job to do, and we're here to do it. And it's going to be a long year, so we'll stick it out, though. Make the best of it.
What about your immediate superior?
Well, the staff's great over here. They really are. A lot different than the U.S. Or as we call it back in the world, they're a lot different. It's hard to say about them. We're not around a whole lot of staff that much. We're mostly out on convoys and run here and run there. That's just about all. So it's really hard to make a comment about them.
I've noticed, though, that up here, even in the short time I've been here, guys are just really great guys, all the way up into the major ranks even.
Yes, they are. They speak to you more often, and it's all good morning this, and it's just real great, really, the officers over here and the staff.
You've been away from your mother just a little while, but you'd like to say anything to her?
Well, I talked to her in Okinawa about a week and a half ago over a comm. I'm doing all right. It's not much to say. It's a little hotter over here than it is in Fort Worth, but not much. They say it does get a little hotter over here, though, at sometimes. So as far as that goes, I'm doing all right. I feel real.
Sergeant Harris, you're just about a short timer, aren't you?
Almost, Bob.
How many days do you have left?
109 today, right to the last.
Which means you've been over here about 10 months.
Yes, sir.
How's it been for you? What kind of duty do you have?
Bob, I work in the Division Air Office. I've had a pretty good job. I'm ordinarily an office clerk, so they stuck me there only because I came from the Air Wing from Cherry Point back in the States. So I've had a pretty good experience working with all the air support over here in the country, not knowing exactly how important my job is. I just recently began to realize it after everything started calming down.
You haven't had any frightening experiences at all?
Not very many, Bob. Only when I came up on the convoy from Fubai with the movement of the division, and otherwise there hasn't been too much here at Dong Ha, especially lately. It's been so quiet, I really can't believe it.
Yeah, I think you had one laid right on top of you, though, didn't you? Lost everything you had? Did you tell us about it?
Oh, that's right. My living quarters did get blown away. Lost everything I had except for what I had on. I didn't even find out till late that night. I just left for work after it happened. No one ever informed me that it was where I'd lived.
Oh boy, thanks a million. Yeah, you talk to you guys and you talk like these things happen every day. What would you like to say to the people back home?
I would like to say hello to everybody from the Middlebrook Baptist Church there in Fort Worth, Middlebrook section. Also to my little sister who just recently got married. Dadgum.
Kind of makes you feel old, doesn't it?
It sure does. I'm the old man of the family now.
Yeah. How long ago did she get married, and to whom? And would you like to say anything to the bridegroom?
It was back in April, Bob, to Lonnie Ozzie. They live on Virginia Drive there in the Middlebrook section of Fort Worth. I don't have too much to say to them.
Luck to both of them, and we'd like to say luck to you.
Well, I guess that's enough right there. I have to say something to them.
Thank you very much, Sergeant.
Okay, Bob.
What are you doing here at Camp Evans?
Right now, I'm Operations Sergeant for Delta Troop 1st and 8th.
Sergeant, huh?
Right.
And we got a letter from your mother. She said you're Spec 4.
Yeah, I made Sergeant, orders cut 7 May.
Feeling pretty good?
Yeah, right. It's a little bit, about $50 a month more. So.
Plus a little bit more responsibility with the guys.
Yeah, right to that.
I think you've got some of your boys out right now.
Right. We got some people that involved in this big fight up at, it's a little east of Dong Ha. They're due in the morning.
I think you've got quite a few captured and so out there.
Right. We got reports back yesterday that we got about 174 enemy KIAs out of about a 200-plus battalion.
Oh, that's pretty great.
Right, it's pretty good. They had a pretty good workout out there.
Yeah, I understand they ran them into the ocean, didn't they, or surrounded them or something?
That's
like that
right. They cordoned the village and put naval gunfire, and of course Army artillery and then Air Force bombed it, and then they kept a cordon around it, and then the next morning they went in and sweeped it, started body count and policing up what was left.
When are you expecting your guys back?
They're supposed to be back tomorrow morning, but you never know, they get here.
Well, sir, it's good to see you, and if you'd like to say anything to your mother, she's right there.
Well, I'd just like to tell her that I'll be home in about 20 days.
You say the rest then, huh?
That's right. I'll say the rest then.
Thank you. Good luck and come to see you.
Thank you.
You're a newcomer to Vietnam, aren't you?
That's right.
How long have you been here?
I've been here about 2 weeks.
And how do you feel about it now that you've been here about 2 weeks?
Well, I don't really know. I hadn't been over here long enough to really know what's going on.
How many missions have you been on?
I've been on 1 so far.
That's about enough already, huh?
Well, I ain't got the hang of it yet.
You get kind of a queasy feeling when you go out on something like that?
Well, when it's your first mission, it is.
We've got the 4th of July going on at home. How do you feel being out of the country, over here, new here, fighting for independence for another country, basically, at 4th of July time?
Well, I know what I'm over here for, and I've got a job over here to do, and 4th of July over in the States. Some of those draft burner cards and those demonstrations ain't helping us a bit over here. I believe that's what I think about 4th of July over here.
Think about people who are not backing you, basically, and how does it make you feel? Do you become angry or frustrated, or exactly how would you explain it?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain, but I believe they're not really backing us up, and not very good Americans.
How long have you been here?
I've been in Vietnam about 8 months now.
Which means you have about how much time to go?
Well, which means I have approximately 9 to 10 months more to serve here in country.
Why so long?
Well, it was my intention to extend, and I'm going to go ahead and carry on through with this intention. I feel that I haven't spent enough time in Vietnam to do my country the best service I can.
So you're extending because you feel that you haven't accomplished all you want to accomplish as yet?
This is true, sir. A person in Vietnam, in 1 year's time, can accomplish quite a bit, but to me, it just doesn't seem like enough time.
What do you do here?
Well, I'm a door gunner on one of the gunships for division.
Could you explain some of the battles you've taken part in, some of the experiences you've had?
Well, yes, I can. The gunships for division actually follow the division everywhere they go. They provide close-in fire support from the air for the ground troops. We fought in Saigon during Tet. We have fought at Song Bay during Tet, and we fought up around the Song Bay region for quite a while. And then we moved up here several months ago, and we've been fighting here ever since.
Catch any in the open?
Yes, quite a few times we've caught them in the open, both here and back at Song Bay and at Saigon.
Lieutenant, I understand you went to school all around the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Could you tell us about it?
Yes, sir. I went 2 years to Southern Methodist University in Dallas and 3 years at TCU in Fort Worth, and was an SA. I'd like to say hello to all the SAs in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
What are you going to do when you get out of this man's army?
Sir, I'm going to return to graduate school and take an MBA.
How do you feel about things that are happening back there? Draft card burners, demonstrations, etc.
Well, sir, I haven't heard too much about the draft dodgers. Personally, I respect their feelings in not wanting to be over here. My views have changed on that because the Army's given me a lot of training. I've enjoyed airborne school, special warfare school, and I've learned the language, and I'm working with the people, and so I think they should re-examine their attitudes towards the Army because as far as I'm concerned, I'm not planning on staying in the Army, but I've been very happy since I've been in.
Now that we're on the subject of feelings, how do you feel about the 101st Airborne?
I think it's one of the finest units in the United States Army, perhaps with the exception of the 5th Special Forces Group.
What kind of a job do you have out here, Spec 5 Elkins?
I work in the G2 section here in the 101st Airborne Division headquarters. It's the intelligence field of the headquarters. We're mainly concerned with the enemy, weather, and terrain.
And mostly classified information?
Right. I work in the classified document repository.
That's the end of questioning on that subject.
Right.
What about back home?
I actually live in Houston, but I have relatives in Dallas. My grandparents, Mr. and Mrs. Cowan there, have quite a few college friends there that I went to college with, the University of Texas, Lon Morris Junior College, and the University of Houston. And I'm pretty well scattered all over there.
Would you like to say anything specifically to your parents? It's 97 degrees at the end of this sun.
Right,
Tell them what living in a tent is like.
Well, it's real warm. About the only time you get any comfort at all is at night, and I guess it gets down to about 78 or 80 degrees at night. And it's been known to get up to about 105 here during the day, and it's rather uncomfortable. And,
somebody just told me that you had 111 one day last week.
Right, we sure did. And we sitting there in front of the fans, you know, on an abbreviated top, you know, and just swelter. It's really something.
Well, good luck to you, and we'll see you back in the cool weather in Texas.
Okay.
Sergeant Troop, what is your job out here?
I work with the 1st Brigade Air Force Forward Air Control Unit here with the 101st.
And exactly what does that consist of?
We supply all of the air power, fighters, airstrikes, visual reconnaissance for the 1st Brigade of the 101st here in Vietnam.
Then you'd be in a position to know, perhaps, what type of progress we're making in this war up in the north.
Well, to some extent, yes. I think we're doing a real good job up here, and I think we really have Charlie on the run out here. We've put in a tremendous amount of air power, and the activity has decreased quite a bit out there in the last month or so.
It's a pretty good division, isn't it, this 101st Airborne Division?
Yes, sir, it is, especially the 1st Brigade. They got some real people down there. They know their stuff.
You've taken in a lot of caches of weapons and so on. Could you tell us about some of those?
Well, we've picked up tremendous amounts of weapons, artillery pieces, and things that just takes Charlie a lot of time to move, and it really hurts him bad when you pick up trucks and a lot of its bigger pieces.
Right, what do you miss most about home?
The main thing I miss is being comfortable. Over here, when you take a shower, you have to worry about turning off the water so you don't waste water, filling up the showers and things. I miss going to a snack bar and everything. We don't have Coke, so it's very rare over here.
In fact, it's rare to get cold water, isn't it?
It sure is. And as hot as it is over here, it's really nice to have a cold drink of water. But I guess that's to laugh.
Well, you've been on R&R. How was it, and where did you go?
I went to Malaysia and Singapore as a capital. It was really nice. It was on the beach, 2 oceans, one on each side. I experienced surfing for the first time. And it was really nice. I enjoyed myself tremendously.
What about your folks back home who might be worrying about you and so on? You want to say something to them about how you're doing?
Well, I just want to tell everybody I'm doing fine. I have no complaints so far. I have 5 months to go and planning on coming back home in one piece.
It's pretty rugged sleeping in tents and watching for rockets, doesn't it, sometimes?
You never know when you might have a rocket attack. And that's your main worry. just waiting, and you don't know. We've been lucky so far. We've only had 2 rocket attacks, 1 ground attack. They weren't bad, but it just puts your nerves on edge, just waiting for it, and never knowing when it's going to happen.
I think it's what you call uptight over here.
I guess.
When you leave here, are you going to be able to get home in time for Christmas?
I should be. I should be home about 2 weeks before Christmas, and maybe for a 30-day leave, be home over New Year's. I just can't wait to get back in Fort Worth.
So tell them all to be sure to get the Christmas presents now, right?
Yeah, I'll be waiting.
Medic, what are you doing while you're in Vietnam here?
Well, I'm in field communications. When the company moves in, I set up all the wiring, the telephones, and radio equipment.
You've been over here how long?
Approximately a month now.
Therefore, you've been closer to the States than a lot of guys over here. What do you think about the events in the States, the demonstrations, draft card burnings, etc.?
Well, from the papers and stuff, we can't hardly figure out what's going on back there. None of the guys like it or anything. Them draft card burners, they should bring every one of them over here, I think.
What do you feel when you get together with the guys and talk about this sometime, and what goes through your mind when you think about all of this?
Well, everybody thinks they're having a bigger war in the States than we are over here. Everybody's getting shot, and right now none of us have seen any combat action. We just read about it in the paper back in the States. The way we used to be back in the States reading about it over here, but it's all changed now.
What a frustrating situation.
Yes, sir.
You've got some people back there. You'd like to say hello to them?
Yeah, I'd like to say hello to my little sister, mother, and father, and them. How y'all doing back there?
Oliver, you're over here where there's killing and war, death, destruction, so on, and yet you think a lot about back home. There have been basically 3 assassinations recently. What does this do to you? How do you feel about it?
Well, my feelings towards it, I mean, even though I'm over here in Vietnam, that it's, I mean, I think it's wrong. I don't know. It seems as though we can't have any leaders. It seems as though all the leaders that we ever had, I mean, that was doing something for the country, just get wiped out, you know. And people seem to think that maybe they should go their way. I mean, they should have their own law, you know what I mean? But yet and still, I don't know what this world gonna come to, but I hope it comes to a good ending, you know. And I don't like to say too much on that because, you know, people be watching this and going on, and maybe it'll happen like the guy that just recently came from Vietnam, and he got off the plane in California. When he stepped off, this lady walks up to him and asked him, did he just finish his tour in Vietnam? And so he told her yes. And she pulls out of a gun and shoot him. And just because her son wasn't lucky enough to make it back. But yet and still, I hope that the Lord is on my side and I may be able to make it back to the glorious United States.
You feel that it is pretty glorious after all you've seen, and what you've seen over here in comparison? What are your feelings now toward your country?
In compared with RVN, the Republic of Vietnam, I still say that the United States is glorious because, as I was talking to you earlier, when you walk down the streets of Vietnam, you have to hold on to your watches and watch your billfold and maybe even watch your shirt, you know. I mean, that's just how bad it is. Now, of course, they have thieves and everything else in the United States, but yet and still, it's just that the country, the atmosphere, I've been over in Vietnam in the war. I mean, it's just that I just can't get used to.
Has it changed your attitude toward your country and toward respect for freedom and so on since you've been here?
It hasn't changed not one bit since I've been in Vietnam, but like I said, I still think it's a glorious country, especially around Texas. And right now, I wish I was back in Texas.
You've been to school up in the North Texas area, haven't you? Could you tell us about your background and education?
Yes, I went to North Texas State University for about 4 years. Got my bachelor's degree in business administration, and then went on for my master's degree in management there.
How's it feel to have a master's degree in one stripe and sit behind a desk?
Well, sometimes you kind of wonder if the Army is really using your civilian background. I don't believe they're doing it for me at the present time. I'm working as a clerk typist and a maintenance officer here at headquarters level of battalion.
There are a lot of guys out in the boonies sitting in the sand and so on who say, boy, if I could just have one of those desk jobs. How about telling the folks back home some of the things that they don't know about a desk job?
Well, my big problem or complaint about a desk job is that, well, all you do is sit there and type all day long. You work up a few reports occasionally. You don't leave the office because you have to answer the phone. You don't leave the area because they might want you there to type something if something important comes in. It's just a big bore in general. You don't have enough activity to keep your mind occupied, and it makes your tour seem a lot longer.
When people ask you what you're doing over here and what about the fighting and so on, can you tell the folks back home what you've seen of that so far?
Well, since I've been in country, which was about the 17th of April, I've seen one mortar attack here at Camp Eagle. Nothing came within a mile or so. I think they said there was 450 rounds came in, but you don't realize that during a mortar attack. You get in the bunkers and that's about it. Other than that, I've seen nothing. I don't see any fighting. Being around helicopters and so on, you very rarely even see any men that are injured. It's just another tour of duty somewhere, and rather boring at that, since all you do is sit at a desk.
I want the folks to know and understand now that I'm leading you into these things, and this is not a total complaint session that I just asked you as we went along to tell us of some of the things that kind of bad about being a clerk typist. Would you like to say anything to the folks at home? I know you have some loved ones back there and so on.
Well, all I can say is hi, and I plan on being back about next April.
Good deal. Good luck to you. Moore, what do you do out here?
Well, I work in the Public Information Office, which is for the division, and I work in the Command Information section.
What exactly do your duties entail?
Well, mostly we work up on things that pertain to chain of command, fact sheets, and most of the time daily news summary for the division.
Where exactly do you work, Brian?
Well, I work right here in this building, and the desk right there.
Almost standing on it, aren't you?
Almost.
What do you get into when you get into shop talk over here? I'm sure you must talk about various things while you're on the job.
Oh, well, they're always talking something about what's going on up north, and about the LZs and things like that.
How about back home? Do you ever get into shop talk about home?
All the time. I guess all of us miss our family, our wife, and our kids, and things like that.
Mm-hmm. You have family and kids back home?
Yes, sir, I sure do. I got a wife, and I got a boy that's 10 months old.
Well, he might not understand it all, but I think your wife would. Would you like to say anything to her? She's right there.
Well, honey, I sure do miss you, and hope to be with you soon.
David, what is this shrine or whatever is in the background here?
This is a minor pagoda. It's, I believe, for Buddhist religion, and they worship here. They come here every so often, and they light a candle or something, I believe, and worship the Buddhist, whatever.
It's pretty interesting. Learning a little bit about the country. What is your job over here?
I work in the office, civil affairs, in division headquarters. Our motto is help the people. And that's what we try to do. Like when a village is destroyed or something happens, we'll try and help the people rebuild, and keep them from starving or anything, and just help them start a life anew.
How many days do you have to go in country, David?
I have 93 days, or 92 in a wake-up. Of course, we mark them off with our short-timers calendar.
And exactly what is that?
Well, it could be anything. Usually a model, pin-up, and we cover them up as we go along.
Of course, yours isn't anything like that.
No, it's just a regular calendar. I count the days. Yeah.
Appreciate talking to you. Like to say anything to the folks back home?
Just tell my two nieces hello, and the family.
James, I know you put in long hours out here and so on, but when you do get a chance to get off, what do you do for recreation?
Well, we've got the Americal Division Beach down here. It's a pretty good place to take off the afternoon, just spend the afternoon rolling in the waves and sitting on the beach. Then right up from that, there's the USO, which has quite a big activities up there going over.
They're taking pretty good care of you here at July.
Oh, yes, they got a pretty good time going over here, even though we do have to work every once in a while.
Think you're going to get off on the 4th?
I'm hoping so. We're sure looking forward to it.
The president back home just recently came out with a plea for a vote for the 18-year-olds. How do you feel about this?
Well, I think they should go ahead and push it through, because when I was serving out in the field, I noticed many bug sergeants and other men that were leading fellow troopers out in the field who were maybe 20 years old, not yet to vote, yet they still had to lead men into combat, and this I can't see not being able not to vote.
How old are you?
23.
Do you think you could have voted intelligently at 18?
Yes, sir, I believe so. Because the way things are going today, more men are being more involved in the politics of the world at this time, and they're more knowledge of what's coming off, really.
What do you do over here?
I play in the Americal Division Band. That's more or less it. We pull a few details, but mostly we play for the troops.
What exactly does playing for the troops consist in?
Well, we fly out to the different base camps that the troops have out in the field, and we play music more or less for morale builders. We play lots of changes of command, and we have lots of small combos that do a lot of work out there. Just giving the troops something to listen to take their mind off of what's happening, and just more or less morale builders.
What do you play?
Well, my MOS is tuba, but right now in the marching band I'm playing trombone, and I play string bass and some of the dance combos that we have.
Mr. Versatility.
Well, you kind of have to be that way when you got a small band to work with. We just have a division-sized band, which is about 40 pieces, and we've got, I guess, about 5 combos working right now, and kind of everybody has to play a little bit of everything.
Where'd you go to school in the States?
I was a music major at Texas Christian University in Fort Worth.
Like how many hours?
I lack about 20 hours having my degree to be a music teacher.
Like to say anything to him back there?
Well, I'll be back soon, as soon as I get through with my tour over here, and be plugging away at the old degree again.
What about your wife back there?
Well, right now she's in Harris School of Nursing, and I sure wish I was back there to help her with her studies instead of over here.
Did you realize that there's a pretty big fire over at Harris just a couple of months ago?
No, I didn't know that. She didn't tell me anything about it in the letter. It sounds more like I'm a little safer over here than she is over there with the big fires and everything going on.
I don't think she'll agree with you, but thanks a million for talking to her.
Well, thank you, sir.
Maiden, what do you do right now?
Right now, sir, I'm night duty NCO at the Americal Support Command Logistics Operations Center, and we're just what you might say in charge of all companies under the Americal Support Command at, well, between the hours of 1800 and 0700 in the morning.
How'd you get into this type of job?
Well, you might say I kind of fell into it. I originally was in the band when I first got over here, but being as I've been mostly company clerk since I've been in the Army, I decided that I'd probably do a lot better if I stayed company clerk. So I managed to get out of the band about 2 months ago, and then they decided that they could use somebody, a night duty clerk, up at the Logistical Operations Center. So I've been up there for about 2 months now.
You were a clerk back in the States. How'd you get into the band over here?
Well, I was a clerk in the band back in the States.
I see.
And see, in the States, the band's its own company, and they needed a company clerk, so I was company clerk. And I got over here, and before the band got started, our operation, which was the latter part of March this year, we did details and stuff like this, and so I volunteered to help the company clerk down here in the support command. And then after the band got formed, I just didn't go for it too much, and so I tried to get out and did, and ended up being night duty NCO up to.
Like the duty you have now better than the band?
Right, sir. I believe I do. Yes, sir. I think it's much better for me, anyway.
Like to say anything to the folks back home?
Well, I'd like to thank my mom and dad for sending this in for me, and tell them I love them very much, and also my fiance, tell Marsha I love her very much too.
Sergeant Huffstetler, what do you do out here at the base?
I'm a flight engineer on C-7As. I'm assistant NCOIC at the 459th.
I think you have something to do with caribous.
Raj, we fly caribous up in northern I Corps. We support all the Special Forces camps up there.
Listen, those caribous have been our lifesaver. If the people back home can give any credit at all to the number of interviews we've been getting, we want to give the credit to the people who've been flying us around in those caribous. Tell us a little bit about their story.
All right, the caribous originally were Army aircraft. The Air Force adopted them from the Army, and they were so well suited for the Vietnam area that we decided that it would be the only place to use them. They're real low-speed aircraft. They can land in approximately 300 feet, take off in approximately 500 feet, and they haul about a 6,000-pound payload. So it's very adept for the Special Forces outfits here.
Exactly what do you do on board?
Well, we more or less supervise loading the cargo. We monitor all the engines, and during airdrop procedures, we release the loads and mark the spots for the loads to land.
You got a loved one or two right back there. You want to look and say anything to them?
Right. I want to say hello to my little girl and my mother and my wife, the whole family, and just tell them I'll be home in about 2 months.
Captain, you're a physician out here. What do you do with the major wounded and other types of casualties and so on?
Our major wounded and casualties we generally ship to Queen Yan Army Hospital by way of helicopters. They're taken care of there.
What about those who might be able to wait and be sent on later?
Personnel that can wait, we can either take care of them here in our 25-bed hospital facility, or we can ship them by aircraft to Cameron Bay for more definitive treatment.
How's duty out here at Phuket?
It's about, I suppose, about like you'd say about any place in Vietnam. Like to be home. Duty's pretty good, though.
You have a very special reason for liking to be home at this time. I know what it is. Why don't you tell the folks right there and then talk to your wife for as long as you'd like?
Yes, sir. I have an 18-day-old daughter. Her name is Catherine. I have not seen her. I'd like to say hello to my wife, Helen, and my 2 sons, John and Bart.
Would you like to say anything to your wife? She's right there and listening.
Yes, sir. I love you.
What do you do, Sergeant Lufkin, at Phuket?
Well, I'm crew chief on the swings line handling. I deliver all the ordnance to the line that the birds take.
Now, for the people at home, what do you mean by deliver ordnance?
Well, this is all type of bombs, rockets, 20 mil, anything that the birds have as far as striking power and an explosive type. This is what we deliver.
It's pretty hairy, doesn't it, sitting on a bomb over there?
Well, after a while, you get used to it. It doesn't phase you at all.
You have some loved ones at home. You'd like to say anything to them?
Well, Dad, Mom, and everybody. Hello, Mom. Hello, Dad.
I think you've been over here for some time.
Yes, I've been here 15 months. I'm working on my 16th month over here now.
That means you've extended.
Yes, that's right.
Why?
Well, there's a job over here. I believe it needs to be done. So I'm going to do my best to do it.
Sergeant Wycopen, what do you do here?
Well, I'm a security guard on 37th Security Police Squadron, and I work in a central security control now as a communications plotter.
But before that, you were out in the bunkers. Could you tell us give us some idea for the people back home, what it's like to man a bunker?
Well, during the day it's not too bad, but at night it gets pretty scary and you start seeing things that aren't there, actually. So,
Shake you up just a hair.
Yeah, it does sometimes.
Well, now that you're away from that kind of stuff, what do you do?
Well, we control all the security on the base. Everybody has to call us before they can fire any type of big guns. And we got to get clearance and call them back. And
You married?
No, I'm a bachelor.
This is great duty over here for a bachelor, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is.
Lots of things to do, lots of girls everywhere.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Now, let's talk about the truth. What's it like for a bachelor?
It's rough.
I think your folks back home would like to hear something from you.
Hello, Mom. I miss you, and I'll be home pretty soon.
Chairman Gray, what do you think about the M16?
The M16 is a very good weapon, but you have to take extra good care of it.
Mm-hmm. You ought to know because your job is what?
Weapons mechanic of the Security Police Squadron.
If you were given an M16, told to go out in the field with it, how would you feel and what would you recommend most of all?
I know I'd take good care of it. Take extra good care of it.
You think it's a good battle weapon?
No, in one sense or another it is, but actually it's really not.
How do you mean? Now, in which ways is it good and in which ways is it bad?
The M16 has real good firepower,
but the got a plastic stock on it, which you couldn't, hand-to-hand combat, you couldn't use it.
Tends to get a little bit dirty and then foul up.
Right. Got to take real good care of it.
You got some people back there care an awful lot about you. Want to say anything to them?
I just wish I could be home with them right now.
Sergeant Randall, how does it feel to be the most popular man in the Air Force at Phuket?
Sometimes it feels wonderful when all the mail's coming in as it should, but then, of course, occasionally it gets backlogged, and we're not too popular then in that case.
I understand that mail is a real morale booster over here. Could you tell the people right there your story on it as you see it?
Well, we here in Vietnam, and me specifically, I guess, feel that it's probably the most important morale factor we have in Vietnam is a letter from home. And I know back home sometimes the folks are a little bit lax in writing the letters, and if they could get one in the mail every day, that wouldn't be too much.
What about the boys that you've seen who come there and are turned away day after day and who don't get letters?
I think it's about the saddest thing that you can see. They don't mind their pay getting mixed up over here too bad, and they don't mind some food that's not of the best nature, and they don't mind a hard bed as long as they get the mail from home. This is very important, and I just don't think we can stress it too much on getting the letters from home over here.
You've been getting letters pretty regularly?
Very regular.
From whom?
From the wife mostly. My wife is Helen, and then I have a daughter 15, Vicki Lynn, and a son 12, Ricky, and then a 7-year-old daughter, Patty Rose.
Like to say anything to them right there?
Hi, kids, and just be real sweet and play it cool, as Daddy would always say.
Captain Evanson, what's your job here at Cameron Bay?
I'm the Squadron Munitions officer for the 559th Tactical Fighter Squadron.
Exactly what does that mean?
Our people load the munitions on the aircraft and also perform the maintenance on the weapons release system on the aircraft.
It's pretty vital, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is.
Could you tell us some of the things that you men have to do? Do you sit on them pretty tight? Are they pretty good men? Tell us a little bit about your experiences with the manpower here.
Well, of course, all our supervisors stay on top of the job all the time, but we have some real good troops working for us. They're real dedicated, and they work real long, hard hours out there.
How long have you been here in country?
I've been here about 8.5 months, sir.
Long enough to form an opinion. Has your opinion changed?
Not at all, sir. I support what we're doing here very much, just like all my people do, and they work very hard for it. Sometimes their dedication seems like is all that really keeps them going, because it's a real hard job.
What about your loved ones back home? Would you like to say anything to them? Because if you do, they're right there.
Okay, I'd like to say hello to my parents, Mr. and Ms. Evanson, and my little brother Ben. Hello.